Any Army in the house? Go up! Well, welcome to this Veterans Roundtable. We are indeed honored and blessed to have Secretary Clinton here to listen to us in terms of some of the concerns with veterans. One of the things that, as a veteran, I know, we did not do well after Vietnam. We forgot the debt that we owed to our service members, and I am committed to never having that to happen again. The debt of gratitude must be paid, and we are, as I said before, honored to have Secretary Clinton here who understands that.
Thanks so much, Senator, and I am so excited to be here at VFW Historic Post 9211. And I thank the commander and everyone who made it possible for us to have this discussion here. It is really a great pleasure for me to be back in Reno. I am looking forward to our conversation. I just want to make a few introductory remarks. As the senator just said, I believe in paying my debts. I believe in making sure that people who sacrifice for us are given all the care and the benefits and support that they need. And I believe strongly that taking care of our veterans is part of our solemn duty as Americans, whether you ever served or whether anyone in your family ever served. As Americans, we owe that debt, and we will all pay it together. Saturday, I launched my campaign for president on Roosevelt Island. An island named for President Franklin Roosevelt in a park dedicated to his Four Freedoms speech. And that speech is just as relevant today as it was in 1941. And at that occasion, on a perfect day in a perfect place, I said that I would devote this campaign and my presidency to waging and winning 4 fights. The first fight is to build an economy for tomorrow, not yesterday, that works for everyday Americans, not just those. The second is to strengthen America's families, because when our families are strong, America is strong, and a lot of families today are under a lot of stress. And these are, in many instances, economic stresses that are coming from the fact that our middle class is not getting what it needs to make sure that it's able to produce the standard of living and quality of life that we expect. Third, I will work to harness all of America's power, smarts, and values to continue to lead the world. And I believe that starts, the heart of it is a commitment to maintaining the best trained, best equipped, strongest military in the world, and taking care of those who serve in that military. And the fourth fight is to revitalize our democracy, get our government to work again the way that it needs to solve our problems, to end the extreme partisanship and the ideology that gets in the way of people trying to figure out what's best for our country. And I will go anywhere, anytime, to meet with anybody to find common ground, but I will also stand my ground. Today we're going to talk about, and I want people both on the panel, at the round table, and those out in the audience to be as absolutely honest as you can. It doesn't do any good to pull back, not to be sharing your experiences, not to be offering your ideas. That's the way America works best. And this to me is critical. Supporting our veterans and our military families is essential to the vitality and readiness of our all-volunteer force. And I'm convinced that when veterans succeed back home with a good job, reliable quality health care, the opportunities to get ahead and stay ahead, that will make America more successful. So this to me is really a three-fer. You've heard of two-fers? This is three-fers. Keeping faith with our veterans, we make our military stronger, we make our economy stronger, and we make America stronger. So that's why I've come here to hear from all of you. Now, I didn't learn this from politics. I learned this from around the dinner table from my own family. My dad, during World War II, was a chief petty officer at Great Lakes Naval Station outside of Chicago. He trained thousands of sailors before they headed off to fight, mostly in the Pacific Theater. And I can remember him telling me, even as a little girl, what it felt like to watch those young men get loaded onto troop trains, heading for the West Coast, knowing that many would never return. After he died many years later, it was so touching to me. I received letters and photographs from some of the sailors he had trained. They shared the bonds of service and respect that endured for decades, and they told me what it meant to them to have my dad be the person who trained them to fight for our country. As First Lady, I had a chance to help vets who were suffering from some unusual problems. I started getting letters from families of vets and vets themselves who had come back from the first Gulf War, suffering from what we came to understand as the Gulf War syndrome. I would get a letter from a wife who would say, you know, Mrs. Clinton, I don't know what happened. My husband, you know, was a big, strapping guy. He could carry me up the stairs. Now he can barely walk up the stairs. And we later found out that this was a real problem, a real syndrome that we had to figure out how to help people, because they had gone over there representing us and come back affected by the environmental toxins and other strange things that they encountered. Later, as a senator on the Armed Services Committee, I worked very hard to help our vets and our military families in the era of Iraq and Afghanistan, working especially on traumatic brain injury, predatory lending, expanding health care to National Guard and reserves, and much else. So I'm looking to see where we are today in your minds, what you see happening. So I want to ask you, and when I sit down, what will it take to transform the VA to make it work for our veterans today and in the future? What happened in Phoenix and elsewhere is absolutely unacceptable, period. And we need to know from the vets what will fix the problems that we have uncovered.